The movie starts with Noah packing her belongings and relocating with her mother, Rafaela, who has remarried a wealthy man. In the car, Noah doesn't seem very interested in the plan as she is reluctant to leave her comfort zone. While driving to their new house, Rafaela repeatedly tries to convince Noah that she'll enjoy being there, assuring her that it provides everything she needs. But Noah insists that she just wants a simple lifestyle. Upon arrival, Rafaela jumps into the hands of her husband, Will, while Noah battles with the box with their servant. She refuses to let the servant carry her box even when her mother controlled her. She eventually gives in and Will greets her. She tells Will that she isn't happy to meet him, and to save Will from the embarrassment, Rafaela asks to take her on a tour around the house, but she doesn't seem interested. She requests her room and discovers the numerous luxury items Will purchased for her upon arrival. Noah remains uninterested and, in a conversation with her friend, expresses her views on the superfluous nature of the entire lifestyle. Her friend wonders who wouldn't love to be in her shoes, and even says she's jealous of her. But Noah says they're not worth it. Later, Noah goes to the fridge to get something, and she is startled to see someone sneak up behind her. Her phone falls and she turns to see Will's son, Nick, behind her. She recognizes him, but he ridicules her by asking her name. They get into a bad start, as he asks her about the freckles on her face and other ridiculous things. She insults him, and his dog gets uncomfortable and barks at her. She pleads for him to manage his dog, but he declines, escalating her frustration. Their parents arrive soon after and assume they're getting along. After the encounter, she returns to her friend's call and talks about how Nick is good-looking, but she doesn't like him. That evening, they go for a family dinner, and on their way, she sees Nick driving beside her and puffing smoke at her. She gets annoyed. During the dinner, Will talks about how Nick is a perfect son. He doesn't smoke, party, and is studying law. That is when Noah disagrees and she teases him. Frustrated, Nick requests to leave, prompting Noah to tag along, and their parents also suggest that they leave together. During their journey, they argue, culminating in Noah expressing to Nick that he doesn't grasp the concept of a mother's love. Furious, he demands her to leave his car, and she is left stranded. Luckily, a car stops to help her, and the boy coincidentally turns out to be Nick's friend, who is attending the same party as Nick. Upon arrival, Noah realizes Nick is the life of the party. He's having fun with several other girls, and she gets annoyed. Later, Noah confronts him, but he tells her to go home. She meets Jenna and the two talk, but she is left alone after Jenna meets her boyfriend. Later, Nick sees her again, but his actions irritate her, leading her to choose to drown her sorrows in a drink from another boy. Unbeknownst to her, the drink has been spiked. That is when Nick comes to chase the boy away. Noah soon gets drunk, so Nick drives her home and lays her in the bed. The following day, Noah wonders what has happened and confronts Nick. He refuses to tell her anything, and Rafaela asks about the movie she watched with Jenna. She checks her phone and sees Nick sent her mom a message on her behalf saying that she was with Jenna. She angrily lashes out at her mother, saying she doesn't want to make new friends. That day at the beach, Noah steals glances at Nick while he is changing. She also overhears that Nick has a car ride that evening, and she decides to go with Jenna. That night, Nick is pumped for the race. However, before the start of the race, he sees Noah and is mesmerized by her beauty. This gets him distracted, giving his opponent the advantage. Nick is unable to concentrate on his race as he sees another boy with Noah. Fortunately, he gets back on track and wins the race. Noah also receives a message about her boyfriend, Dan, cheating on her with her best friend. She gets pissed and decides to numb herself by having fun around. She even kisses a random guy. He tries to touch her inappropriately, but gets rejected because she just wants to take a picture and send it to Dan. Nick soon arrives and chases the guy away. He decides to replace the guy by kissing Noah and taking the picture. Later, while waiting for Nick to return, she sends the picture to Dan and decides to go to the driver's seat. Meanwhile, Nick gets distracted and goes to make out, and his opponent, Ronnie, approaches Noah and challenges her to a race. She refuses to do it at first, but after some negotiation, she agrees. After an intensive race, Noah emerges victorious, but she realizes it is against the rule that anyone except Nick competes in the race. Nick is enraged with her, yet she insists Ronnie provoked her. Despite this, Noah loses the race and must surrender his car, providing Ronnie with money. When they are about to leave, Ronnie calls Noah a whore, which infuriates Nick. He punches Ronnie and a fight ensues. They eventually escape from the chaotic situation. 4 days later, the family is organizing a party, and Nick is expected to be present. Since the incident of the car race, Nick hasn't been home, and Noah dresses beautifully, hoping Nick will be present. Nick eventually comes home at night and sees Noah lying on the couch with his dog. He goes to sit with her, and they watch a car race together. She tries to apologize for her past actions, but he stops her, advising against bringing it up. They start to get attracted to each other, and their intimacy leads to desperate kissing, but decide to stop soon after. The next day, Nick attempts to approach Noah, yet she reminds him that he cannot get closer. Despite this, she pours water on herself, teasing him to observe. Suddenly, Dan arrives. He tries to apologize to her, but she refuses his apology. She goes swimming with Nick, and they start kissing again. Unfortunately, Dan sees them. Dan later confronts them, but she dismisses his concerns and instructs him to leave her house. Meanwhile, a man is seen talking to Ronnie, asking him to get Noah. After that conversation, Ronnie goes to Nick for Noah, and this causes another fight between them. Nick returns home with bruises and sees Noah resting by the pool. He goes to cover her shirt, but gets hit by her. She apologizes as she thought he was Dan. She starts attending to his wound as they start flirting and eventually make out. Dan suddenly arrives and Noah tells him to keep it a secret. The next day, Noah finds out Dan has left. She gets another hate message from school, but doesn't tell anyone. She goes out with Nick, and they take another girl, Anna, who seems to love Nick and hates Noah. As they arrive at this destination, Nick drags Noah aside and tells her he can't control himself with her. They start kissing, but Jenna and her boyfriend, Lion, interrupt them. Lion reminds Nick that what he is doing is wrong, and Jenna also talks about a fight Nick is having. Upon learning of Nick's interest in a boxing match, she attempts to intervene, only to be forcefully pushed away by an enraged Anna. Noah leaves and encounters Mario, a guy who's fond of her. She shares a kiss with Mario while Nick witnesses the moment and delivers a punch to Mario. Noah confronts Nick, asserting her independence, ever since they stopped talking to each other. Meanwhile, Noah receives hate messages, and Will tells Nick that Noah's father, previously incarcerated for attempting to harm her, is now released, raising concerns for Rafaela about his intentions towards her. That night, Noah and Jenna go out, get drunk, and Jenna asks Nick to look after her. Turns out that Jenna's dad, Jonas, is also keeping an eye on her. Nick drives Noah home and takes her to bed. He decides to spend the night with her. The next day, Will enters and sees them naked on the bed. He tells Nick that his stepsister Maddie is in the hospital, and Noah tags along. On their way home, they realize they have to stop their relationship, but they plan to consummate it before it ends. They have fun and spend the night at the beach, having intercourse. The next day, Nick rushes to a store to get another pack of condoms, leaving Noah in the car. Unfortunately, Ronnie kidnaps Noah before he returns. They immediately report to the police, who get the CCTV footage, and Nick recognizes Ronnie. Meanwhile, Noah wakes up in a room and threatens Ronnie, only to see her father Jonas there. Jonas asks her to call Rafaela, and he accuses Rafaela of being a gold digger. He demands a ransom, discloses the location, and urges them to refrain from notifying the authorities. Police discover Jonas and Ronnie sharing a prison cell. Will, accompanied by Rafaela, transports the money to the location, with a police officer in a nearby car with Nick. Meanwhile, Jonas watches Will through a camera, overhearing Rafaela mention that Jonas is unmotivated by financial gain due to his significant indifference to money, which negatively affects her life. Nick recalls that there is an insurance tracker in the car he gave Ronnie, and they manage to locate them. However, Jonas discovers this and asks Noah to drive away at gunpoint. Jonas reveals he is the one who taught Noah how to car race, and she was to win some competitions for him, but she intentionally lost it. Nick races against the car Noah is driving but can't catch up with her. Being cornered, Jonas points his gun at Noah. That is when Nick remembers a swipe skill that she taught him when they were watching the show together. They are both seen to know each other's intentions as they drive forward. They perform the swipe skill swiftly and bend down at that instance, allowing the police to shoot Jonas. In the next scene, the family embraces each other as it has all come to an end. In the closing scene, Nick and Noah are seen getting intimate in bed, while their parents discuss a plan to separate them. Subscribe to watch more videos like this, leave a like to help the channel out, also leave a comment if you'd like us to recap your favorite movie. Thanks for watching.